Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Darrell in Tents. I'm Darrell, and actually this is not really my tent, it's really my house, but I'm not sure if you can see the clock. It's 12:04. It's 12:04 in the afternoon, and we're here. I'm just like you, man. I'm right in the middle of this quarantine. So I'm in my house, and I told my wife this is a great opportunity for us to test our emergency preparedness gear. She was less than excited, to say the least. But for the next 24 hours, from 12 noon today until 12 noon tomorrow, I'm turning the furnace shut down completely. We're shutting down the furnace, no water, and no electricity. This is a great opportunity to test the gear. So if I turn my system to off, right in the middle, there we go. She's off. But hey, this is a great opportunity to test all my emergency preparedness gear. And here's what's cool: if you've got camping gear, you've got a lot of emergency preparedness gear. I'm going to shut off the power completely to the man cave, and this is where I'm hiding out for the next 24 hours. So this is my place, this is where I'm going, and the power's off. So pull up a chair, bring a sleeping bag, and for the next 24 hours, let's do an emergency preparedness test. And it looks like about 64 degrees inside the basement here in the man cave. Here in the house. So as the day progresses, as the evening progresses, I'll keep an eye on it, and I'll walk you through the gear that I plan to use. Now, this is only a 24-hour shakedown, but yeah, I think the system that's in place ought to be operational. Okay, so let me tell you what I'm thinking, right? So here we are in the midst of a national quarantine. Certainly our state, everything is shut down. They're encouraging you just to completely be isolated. My wife is a healthcare provider, and so she actually is working. She has to go to work today, and she'll work tomorrow as well. So here's the thing. This is a perfect opportunity for me to test all of the gear. I've got camping gear, I've got backpacking gear, car camping gear, glamping gear. So the quarantine gives me an opportunity actually to sit down and to test all of the gear. Over the course of the years, I've done some cross-country trips where in the car we visited 10 national parks over 30 days, 7,200 miles, hiked 150 miles. And so some of the gear that I bought there is actually going to be great gear. The gear that sustained me through that trip is going to be great gear for emergency preparedness. And what if the water was a boil order? If there was no power? It happens all the time that we would go hours typically without electricity. But what if we went 24 hours? What would we do? The Red Cross says that everybody should be prepared for at least 72 hours, 3 days, to be able to be sustained with water and with the provisions that they recommend on their website. And so I'm taking the next 24 hours to see how my propane heater would work. How does my battery pack work? How would my 12-volt refrigerator work? What about the camp stove and the camp cooking and sleeping on the couch and getting by without a furnace and using only the LED lamps that I have available? That's the plan for the next 24 hours. And so I'm glad you're here with me. As long as we stay 6 feet apart from each other, you're welcome to join me through this whole ordeal. Okay, let me show you some stuff here because it's approaching the 1 o'clock hour, just a couple minutes actually before 1 o'clock. And I'm thinking I could use a cup of coffee and probably ought to think about lunch. And so in the spirit of this whole thing, I'm gonna do like a backpacking kind of lunch. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that one of those gallons of water, and I'm gonna take my MSR wind burner, I'll do a more detailed review of that item at another time. I'm going to take my coffee mug and the propane, and rather than matches, long ago I learned flint and steel. If it gets wet, is no big deal. And then I like these Folgers singles. They look like a tea bag, but they're coffee. So that's what I do. So I'm gonna go make a pot of coffee, and I am gonna burn the propane outside for this item. Okay, so this is the MSR wind burner, and it's a fantastic piece that works in to a degree. It works in high altitudes, but its claim to fame is that because of the way that this fires up, wind is not an issue. So if you've had trouble before with a stove where the wind was blowing it out, that is not going to be a problem with the MSR wind burner. Okay, so it just screws on a bottle of butane propane mix that you can get at any box store, and take a gallon of water, and then this the MSR will actually hold 1 liter of water. So it'll hold a liter in its capacity. Turn the gas on. And years ago, I just got into the idea that I don't have to worry about matches if I have flint and steel. Then I don't need matches. So I'll put the lid on, and then it just fits on and screws on so that it doesn't get knocked off or knocked over. I also have legs that I can put the propane on, but I didn't. There's no wind here in this corner where I'm at, so didn't feel like that was going to be a need at all. So I'm going to shut that off. And because of the way the burner and the pot are so close together, yeah, we've got smoke coming out. That's a good sign. Because they sit so close together, it really will boil water. In about 2.5 minutes, I can bring it to a rolling boil. Okay, so as we start talking about food, and as I make my lunch here this afternoon, let me tell you a couple things that I keep on hand. One, I had some son-in-laws that pitched in one Christmas and bought me a week's worth of dehydrated food. Now in this bucket it says 1 week food supply, 134 servings, but not sure exactly what they calculate as a serving. So again, 1 week supply, food supply kit is there. It's an awfully big bucket. It looks to me like for 1 week worth of food. But I know that there are pouches of liquids. There are pouches of milk, pouches of juices, and so that's somewhat unique. And so I've got this 1 week storage of dehydrated food. The shelf life is like 20-25 years, something like that you just put on a shelf and forget about it. And then over here is the Legacy Premium Gourmet dehydrated and freeze-dried food storage, and this was 1 month food supply. So between my wife and I've always felt like I've got a couple of weeks anyway, a piece for the food. Okay, so this time I'm bringing it to a complete boil, and when you can see the smoke churning out of there like that, you got a complete boil going. And I did that because of the nature of what I'm doing. I'm trying to reconstitute these dehydrated noodles in this chicken soup. So the instructions were to pull the lid back and then let the lid set back on top of there. So I'll put that bottom on there. The MSR wind burner also comes with a measuring cup. So that's what that is. So I've got about 3 different utensil options. One is a titanium extra long spork put out by Sea to Summit. The other one is a foldable spork, and I'm trying to remember who makes that. I don't remember, so I won't say. But it's a foldable spork, so it fits easily. It'll actually fit inside the MSR. But this Yuko is the one that it's a relatively new item. It's only been out for about a year. But what I love about it is a spoon and a knife, and that's a pretty heavy-duty serrated, heavy-duty plastic. And then it's a fork also, and the whole thing will clip together, which is perfect for if you're eating out of a pouch. If you're eating out of a pouch and you don't want your knuckles down into the pouch, you have access to the spoon or to the fork, whichever you want. And it's extremely lightweight. So again, that's a great backpacking item. And it's put out by a company called UCO, U-C-O. Okay, so let me tell you, whenever I go backpacking, whenever I go camping, I always take this, I want to say 1600 amp battery pack that charges. It's a RAV Power, great little deal. The Deluxe series, available on Amazon. Yeah, 16,750 amp hours is what it is, and it's a great little device that has two USB ports on it, so I can charge two devices at once. But whenever I go backpacking, whenever I go camping, I can charge my phone at night while I'm sleeping, just like I do any other ordinary night. And this will charge my. I have found I can charge my phone if it's completely dead. I can charge my iPhone XR like 4 times very easily with this device. So I always carry with me a charge cable that's USB charge, and I also carry a power cord, a charger for my phone, so that I can charge the phone. Now that works great when backpacking. That works great when camping. Earlier last year, however, I took a trip with my wife where we had a van, and I told you about the 7,200 miles we drove. And I was trying to think how I could cut costs. And so I determined that if I had to eat every single meal out, that was going to be incredibly expensive. Okay, so when I was trying to figure out how on earth I was going to cut those costs, I wasn't opposed to buying something if it would have a life all its own, and a life that I could use at another time. And so certainly thinking even in terms of emergency preparedness, I bought a refrigerator that can function as a freezer or a refrigerator. It's a 12 volt, it runs on 12 volts, and it actually, per hour, it takes 11 watts per hour to keep it operational. Highly rated, and I've had it for a year now. A year and a half, and it's a great item. Okay, so this is the ARB 50 quart refrigerator cooler. It runs off of 12 volts, or it also has a plug-in where you can plug it into 110 and just plug it into the wall and run it that way as well. So I've got it set right now at like 37 degrees is what the temperature will drop down to. I had it open earlier. I was taking some stuff out and putting some stuff in. Right now I just have a half dozen sodas in there. But what you're looking at is a 3-compartment area that, again, it can function as a refrigerator, or it can be a freezer, depending on what you set the settings on. But it can't be both at the same time. You have to declare it's either a refrigerator or it's a freezer, but it will function in those capacities very well. And then to power it, I purchased the Goal Zero Yeti 1400 watt-hour inverter, charger, battery bank, and it functions very well. It runs off of, the outputs are Anderson Power Pole or USB or USB-C, and also 2 110 plugs as well. So it's completely full now. I had it plugged into the wall and all charged up. I can't imagine that I'm going to burn through that whole battery in this 24-hour event. But in the event that I did, I could theoretically take it right over here, and you see back behind the chair, I've actually got 2 Renogy 100 watt solar panel. So that's how I'm going to make it through the night, and should have more than enough. With the electricity shut off, I should have more than enough battery bank to last me through the night. Okay, well, it's 3 o'clock right now. We've been at this for right at 3 hours. I'm looking at the thermostat. And again, it's just right at 64 degrees. Now, it's 58 degrees outside, according to my outside thermometer. and we are down in the ground in the basement here, so just with this walkout. So I picked this room because it's the smallest room that I have in my house, and so the easiest to heat, and pretty much an easy way to keep to keep things together down in this one single room. I have access to the outdoors. I have windows. If it were a tornado, back behind me, it's a great big closet, actually, that if there were a tornado or something, we could go back into. It's a little smaller than this, but this has the external windows, and so for a power outage, this is sufficient. The two couches are here, two recliners are here. So yeah, that's what we've got going. So it's 3 o'clock, and what would I do if the power were out and it was 3 o'clock? I would probably take a nap. So I think I'm going to get started on that and see if I can practice that. Okay, so it's right at 3:30, and the thermostat really has not moved at all. Still hovering around 64 degrees here in the basement. Not much fluctuation at all, which really is a good thing. And now you're probably thinking, what about bathroom accommodations? If there's no water in the house, what on earth are you thinking about for bathroom accommodations? Well, a couple things. First of all, assuming there is no water, with a couple of bathrooms, the toilets are, the tanks are already full of water. So you've got a flush in every toilet right there that would be best suited for a deuce, a number 2. A number 1, there are a couple of options. Let me show you what I'm thinking. Okay, a couple of items, both available on Amazon.com. One is just a toilet seat on a bench. That's all it is. It's a $25 item. You put an 8-gallon trash bag in there, drop a little kitty litter in there, and you've got yourself a toilet. Should it come to that, either as a female option or as a deuce option in the event that all other options have been utilized. And then also a urinal. It's a male urinal, holds 2,000 milliliters, which, my goodness, that's a lot of pee. You know what I'm saying? And that also on Amazon.com. You know, honestly, on a cold camp out in a tent, winter camping, that is not a bad little item to have with you through the night. And so there you go. There are a couple of options. But for this case scenario, where I am just a few feet from a bathroom, even without a flush, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. That's the rule of thumb in an emergency. Well, it's about 5:30. We've been 5.5 hours in this little project, and things are holding up fine. Interestingly, I think with the basement being dug in like it is, the thermometer has really not budged off of 64 degrees. So it's holding its own. It's holding its temperature well. The goal zero is right at 97%. That's after running the refrigerator for 5.5 hours. And I've got my phone plugged into it as well. I am a ham radio operator, and so I've got a ham radio that can also run off of the Goal Zero as well. So yeah, about 5:30 in the evening, and I'll be thinking about dinner here shortly. Okay, so I've got two options for dinner tonight. I've got the freeze-dried home-style turkey dinner casserole, with stuffing, white turkey, and vegetables. Okay, that's 2 servings. And then I've got the freeze-dried lasagna with meat sauce. That is 2.5 servings. Now, if you look on the back, you see the expiration date for these dehydrated meals, and that says used best by December 2047. Okay, 2047 is when that's going to expire, so I need to keep that in mind. And then this one says, the turkey casserole says that it's used best by August of 2048. Okay, so based on that, the lasagna is going to expire before the turkey casserole. But I've had the lasagna, I love it, but I've never had the turkey casserole, so I'm going to go with the turkey casserole. So that has come to a boil. We want to pour the entire 1.25 cups into the pouch. And we're going to stir it. Especially grabbing all the dry that's down at the bottom and trying to get the moisture. Grab that as well. And you know, it does. It looks like Thanksgiving turkey casserole. It does. And I'll seal the pouch. And we'll let it set for 5 minutes. Okay, so here we go with the home-style turkey dinner casserole, complete with white turkey and stuffing and vegetables. Here we go. Tastes like turkey casserole with stuffing. Typically they're a little salty, and that's how they preserve till 2048, for crying out loud. But yeah, it's good. It tastes like what I would have expected it to taste like. Okay, well, here's what's next. I'm going to boil some water, and I'm going to do my one spork. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to clean my spork, and I'm going to show you how I do that. Now, for the record, I never like to put, I mean, I have, but rarely. Generally, I never like to put anything except for water in my MSR wind burner, and that way it's all it is water. I mean, as far as cleaning it, there's really nothing to clean in the MSR. Just dry it out with this chamois rag, camp rag. But what I am going to do is I'm going to boil some water, and I'll show you the plan. So what my plan is, I will take my camp soap, put a squirt of that in the measuring cup that comes with the MSR, and I'll wash in that, and I'll dry. I'll rinse in the MSR itself. So again, just an 8x8 camp cloth. These things are so amazingly absorbent. When camping and backpacking, this is enough to dry a body, for crying out loud. So it works out pretty well. Well, it's not necessary to bring it completely to a rolling boil. It's warm, and what I want to do is take half of the water to use for washing, and the other half of the water I will use to rinse. Well, gang, I'm sitting over here by the window because the sun's beginning to go down, and I don't want to lose all the light before I have to go to LED lights. My lovely bride just brought down some ice cream, and I said, I don't know that I can eat that. I mean, I'm trying to do this like the power's out. And she said, okay, well, let's pretend the power's out, and the freezer is everything in the freezer is thawing out. So can you help and eat the ice cream? So because it's an emergency, I'm here to help. So I can't see what kind it is, but it looks like chocolate chips with some kind of a chocolate fudge marble through the vanilla ice cream. I'm here to help in an emergency. So what do you do during an emergency except play cards? So we're gonna play a round of cards. Well, my bride's not on camera because she prefers to be not on camera. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, correct.
3 decks is a lot.
You know, when I started it was 65 degrees. It's 63 degrees. I started at noon. It's what, 8 o'clock? After 8 o'clock, we're down a degree and a half.
Not bad.
That's a dirty 10. I'm out.
Oh, and look, I'm stuck with a 10 and a 30 points.
2 cleans and 2 dirties. I believe I won, my love. So it's about 10 after 9, and I'm just going to make up a bed for tonight. Again, about 65 degrees in here. It hasn't really gone down much. Maybe 2 or 3 degrees. 2 degrees at most since noon today when I started this whole ordeal. So 9 hours in, and yeah, pretty amazing to me. So I think if I have a blanket or two going with the Pendleton Wool Blanket National Park Collection. Hey guys, it's 10 o'clock at night. It's 54 degrees outside. It's 63 degrees inside. Started at 65 degrees at noon today here in the house, in the basement. And it's only dropped 2 degrees in 10 hours. So that's pretty good. That's I don't think I'm going to need the heater at all. I've got a propane heater, a Mr. Heater Tough Buddy is what I have. It'll run off 2 1-pound propane bottles or a 20-pound cylinder. Hey, good morning, guys. It's 6:15. A little chilly. I'm going to get up and check the thermostat and see what the temperature is. Feels a little chilly. I might turn on the propane heater and see if we can take the chill out of the air. Yeah, so that's come on rather nicely. I've just got it on a low heat, just to take the chill out of the air. 62 degrees inside the room, and for the record, I do have a carbon monoxide detector. So right there on the fridge. So yeah, we should be good.
11 miles per hour, becoming southwest between.
So the good thing about this radio is I'm able to pick up the Weather Channel, and so I can get the latest forecast every day as well for whatever area I'm in. It's 84% at 7 a.m. 84% battery life still left, and so yeah, we're doing okay. Okay, well, coffee in hand. It's about 7:30 this morning. 51 degrees outside and foggy. No sunrise this morning. But this little Mr. Heater Tough Buddy is the brand and the model that it is, has really done a great job. It's been on for just a little over an hour, and we're at 66 degrees in here. So in just about an hour, on the lowest setting of heat, it has picked up the temperature about 5 degrees within an hour, which makes this very very comfortable. I think it's nap time. Okay, so let's see. It's 9:30 in the morning. I have napped. I have piddled. Not a lot to do. The lights are out. No internet. No telephone. No television. No movies. No Netflix. So I have got 3 camping crates. That's my cook kitchen, one that is for miscellaneous summer gear, and one that is for winter gear. And so I'm going to take some time, and I'm going to make up my bunk. I'm done napping, and I'm going to organize my crates. Well, it's 12 o'clock noon, and this little party is over. Everything has worked out great. I'm just kind of walking around the room. The refrigerator's still on perfect. Very pleased with the way my heater buddy, Tough Buddy, performed. The Goal Zero charger has still 79% battery life, which is great. It's been running the refrigerator for 24 hours. I had my laptop plugged into it at one time. I had my phone charging up with it. Good on food. Didn't even need to open up the Camp Chef Everest stove. Just used the MSR wind burner. Had everything. I mean, everything that I needed. I'm looking at the thermostat, and it's right at 62 degrees. So again, in the last over 4 hours, it's 51 degrees outside, and so we've dropped down to 60. But all in all, I think all of my gear performed in a 24-hour period as well as what I would have hoped. Confident I could go 3 days easily with this. In fact, the battery charger alone, based on 20% usage, should go for 5 days without needing the solar panels charged to it at all. So very pleased with the way all of that worked. Really kind of nice. I have some metal rings around my light fixtures, and so even my Goal Zero lantern just connected to that right at the top of the ceiling. So that worked out pretty well as well. The only thing I was not prepared for was just exactly how bored I was going to be for 24 hours without anything. I napped, I read, I piddled, I reorganized. The good book says that the Lord knows how many hairs are on your head. Well, I now know how many hairs are on my head. So that's kind of what we got going. The main thing I have not prepared for is something to do. In the event that I'm not in a survival mode, just finding something to do for however long until the power comes back on. So I'm going to turn the furnace back on to the thrill of my wife. I'm going to turn the electricity back on, the water back on, and I think it worked. If you have any comments, I would love to hear from you. What concerns do you have? You want to know information about any of my gear? I'll be doing individual reviews on a number of things. But yeah, I'd love to hear your comments regarding this video. If you like it, click the like button, the thumbs up, and if you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I'll take you on every journey that I go on. And if you click the bell right next to the subscribe button on the main page, then you'll be notified every time I post a new video. So that's what I got, guys. That's Camping with Darrell, and emergency preparedness is just another form of camping, primitively in your home. Thanks for watching. God bless.